Okay, so welcome back, everyone. It's me. It's Bath Toad here. I just thought it'd be fun to do a little tier list today. I don't know. I'm just thinking about things to do. Right now, I'm in the middle of creating Sam Darnold's documentary video. I've also got an entire history of the NFL video coming out. That thing's gonna be like fucking 3 hours long. So get excited for that on the main channel. But yeah, with my recap not coming up, I always make it in June, but I thought it'd be fun to just make a tier list, talking about every team's season, just to help me out also for the notes for that video. But I thought it'd just be fun to look back and see how everything went wrong or right for a team, and judging how a team overperformed or underperformed from the 2025 season. So, this could just be a fun little video to throw on in the background, but yeah, let's do it. And I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say in the comments. Roast me or whatever if you think I'm wrong on stuff. But yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. This is probably not going to be a Tom video, but I guess let's go in alphabetical order here. The Arizona Cardinals, there's no other way to go other than D tier. This was an absolute failure of a season in every single regard. Before the year, I want to say I said they could win the division, and on paper, this is still a fine team. I was very impressed with the Cardinals draft, and it's been great. I mean, they got offensive line help, which has been good. Will Johnson, I would say he had a very good season. There were a lot of injuries, but it's clear that he's a good player in the NFL, which that's great for a second-round pick, or was he a late first? I don't remember exactly. I think the Cardinals had a great draft. They have a ton of talent. Trey McBride was the best tight end in 2025. Injuries to Kittle and Bowers, of course. They have good pieces on defense. Can Budda Baker do it for that much longer? Not sure, but coaching was a fucking failure. Drew Petzing, man. Drew Petzing. I can't believe the Lions hired the dude. Sorry, I don't need to crash out right now, but holy shit, dude. Oh, I fucked up my lighting there, but wow. I mean, he ruined everything. Did you know I bet on Marvin Harrison to get over, I think it was all he needed was 3 games of 100 yards. Couldn't do it. He didn't get a single one. He did not have one game. So maybe he just sucks dick now, but who knows, bro. The entire Cardinals organization just blows asshole. Anyways, talking about fucking blowing urethra, let's get back to the Atlanta Falcons, because this is also a D tier fucking football team. I'm going to give myself more room here because this is going to be a big ass tier list. But holy hell, man. This was a tragic season for the Falcons. Tragic. They wasted Bijan Robinson. Utterly wasted him. Raheem Morris, malpractice. Malpractice on the season. It's not 100% on him, of course. The only positives from this Falcons season were the defense, which are now completely erased because their best fucking young defensive player just... he was stalking his girlfriend and then tried to literally kill her. It's scary shit, man. Scary shit. So the Falcons are in a horrible position right now. I am not a huge fan of the Stefanski hire. It's good for Bijan, but that wasn't really the problem. So you just wonder how things are going to change for the Falcons if they are. It doesn't seem like they are. It's not a good situation in Atlanta right now. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, that was the worst of it. I can't say enough shit about how terrible the division was, and it's insane that the Falcons had easily the most talent, and they didn't win it. Baltimore is another team that's a little bit hard to rank. I'm going to put them in C tier. I'm also going to put Buffalo in I'm going to put them in B tier, actually, but I'll talk about the Ravens first. I'm lumping them together because with Mahomes out, this was both of their best chances to win a Super Bowl. This wasn't, for the Bills, it's different. I'm going to focus on the Ravens. I don't want to blame them too much because Lamar did get hurt. So there's that. That just tanked the beginning of the season. Along with the defense being shit, though. They just shot themselves in the foot repeatedly. And I think a lot of that does fall on coaching. A lot of it does. This was a wasted opportunity, and I feel like their window might be closed. Their window should be closed after 2023. They had one of the best teams of all time. I think by DVOA, they're 4th ever, and they didn't win shit. So I feel like they missed their window, man. I really do. And for Buffalo, it's a lot of the same, man. Mahomes isn't there. This is your shot. All you got to do is beat Bo Nix and the Broncos, and then Drake May. Couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. I'm going to give them B tier because their defense, I think, overperformed in my mind. They were at a lack of talent. They got the most out of Tre'Davious White and fucking Matt Milano's old ass, Joey Bosa. They played good defense, so I want to credit Sean McDermott for that a lot. He's gone now. That's a whole different thing. Josh Allen had a fine season. It's just, I don't know, man. I did not expect them to beat Jacksonville, so I want to give them points for that. I think the Jaguars were the better team. It's just tough, dude. I don't know. I'm going to put them in B tier, but it's still super disappointing. The Panthers are a weird team. Very, very weird. I'm going to put them top of B tier because on one hand, you're a little disappointed Bryce Young didn't take the jump he needed to in the regular season, but he kind of took it in the playoffs. So, but we did this last year. That's why I'm like, guys, don't fall for the bait. We did this last season. Do you remember Bryce Young was just popping off to end the year? And I wanted to believe in the guy, and then he comes out and he shits himself in the regular season. So Bryce Young is just going to be an inconsistent quarterback. That's who he is. But there is so much to be optimistic about on the defense. Mike Jackson just started balling out of his mind. J.C. Horn playing great football. Derrick Brown's one of the best players in the NFL. There's so much to like on defense. Tet's a beast. You push the second best team in the NFL to being forced to go get a game-winning drive. There's a lot of positives here. And you have the brightest future in your division, so top of B tier to me is pretty fair. Chicago Bears, there's nowhere else to go but S tier. Nowhere else to go. This was a fucking magical season. I talked about their year on the other channel. It's just, I can't believe that they had the year they had, is all you can really say. It was a bumpy start, but you found your generational quarterback. You found your generational coach. You have an identity. You have a strong offensive line. You have a great young player in Luther Burden, another great young player in Colston Loveland. You got in the same draft. It was a season unlike any other. And I had to make a video on it, man. Just one of the most entertaining teams I've ever seen in my life. Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals. What do we do here? This is a similar one to Baltimore where I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to put him in C tier because, no, B tier is way too high. Because this is what I expected from them. Minus the Joe Burrow injury, of course, but this was a team that wasn't going to do anything. The defense is historically shit. Just historically shit. And I think we have an Andrew Luck case. This is going to be a wasted career. I think they're going to waste Joe Burrow's career. I don't know what else to say. This is just a defense that can't stop my fucking... You put me out there in the slot, I'm getting 7 for 57 in a out route touchdown on them. I'm firmly confident in that. I mean, I got a nice little first step sometimes, you know, if my calf's feeling all right. It's just sad. This is one of the best offenses ever. But this is what happens... not ever, but they have one of the most talented offenses in the league. Hell, probably ever. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I'm not sure you can cover that with Joe Burrow, but this is the consequences of paying T. Higgins, man. You don't have the money for defense, and there's two sides of the ball. So, not D tier because it's actually exactly what I expected, and things are going to be exactly the same. Exactly the same. The Shamar Stewart pick is not working out too. Cleveland, again, it's like, I can't go higher than C tier because it's still a horrible season, but, hold on. It's like, what did we expect? This was a terrible team on paper, one of the worst offenses in the league. Honestly, I would say they even overperformed these teams because the defense was so fucking amazing. I did not see that coming because they weren't very good last year. They kind of regressed. 2 years ago, amazing. Last year, meh. This year, great again. It's looking like Schwartz is gone. He's basically just pissed off that they didn't give him the coaching job. So things are looking terrible for next season as always for Cleveland. And they do not have a franchise quarterback. Shedeur showed flashes. We'll see. But I don't like their head coaching hire. Dark future, as always. But still, I would say they even overperformed a little bit because we all knew they were going to be shit. Dallas is another very similar one to the Bengals. They're pretty much the same team where they were terrible on defense, historically terrible, one of the worst defenses of all time by DVOA metrics. But I would say that Dak overperformed. Remember, he had a serious injury last year. We weren't sure how he was going to mesh with Schottenheimer's new system. Javonte at running back was a big question mark. George Pickens, huge question mark. The offense was great. Dak Prescott is legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But everything else was awful. Everything else was terrible. So, again, just like the Bengals, not Joe Burrow's fault, not Dak's fault, but the team was terrible and very disappointing. And the Quinnen Williams trade It turns out Quinnen Williams does not play cornerback, so big issue. Dallas has a lot of problems. Denver, I think you go A tier. It's a hard one to judge. I think you go S tier, actually, because, I said that they would win the AFC West. I think. I'm pretty sure I picked them over the Chargers. This was a very weird season. You won a lot of one-possession games, but when you lose the AFC Championship game by a missed field goal, you have to go S tier. I think this team makes the Super Bowl easily with Bo Nix. Turns out those Niners player signings were great. Hufanga was spectacular. He's one of the most underrated players in the league. Drake Greenlaw made a big impact when he came back. You had solid offense at times. It was a very boomer bust offensive system, but you won games when you needed to. You made the AFC Championship game. There's no other way to say this other than it's an S tier season. So Denver just needs to build on it, and I think Bo Nix showed up in the divisional round, so that's huge too. Detroit. Oh, what do you do here? This is a very disappointing year. I'm gonna put it. Is it more disappointing than the Ravens? I think yes. It's tough because they didn't have the injuries that the Ravens had on paper, but they kind of did. Their entire secondary, it was weird because their whole defense was injured for so much of the season, but they were still playing good football for a lot of it, and then Kirby Joseph went down, it was over. So they just dealt with too many injuries again, but that's not why they're here. They're here because the offense was super disappointing. Ben Johnson was just sorely missed. Dan Campbell took over the play calling. That didn't fix fucking anything. So this was a really disappointing season. Really disappointing. It was tough, though, because the Packers were in your division. You had the Vikings playing good football. And then, obviously, the Bears were amazing this season. So it was a tough year. It was a really tough year. But the Lions were better than, I think the healthy Lions were better than the Patriots. I'm sorry. I think they were. But I don't know, man. It's just like Dan Campbell said. I think they missed their window. The Packers, it's just a tough one because I'm going to put them top of B tier. The Packers are a tragedy to me because I was saying for a majority of the season, they were my Super Bowl pick. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. Tucker Kraft goes down, and I'm like, all right, that's brutal. They just lost their best offensive player outside of Jordan Love. They're not my Super Bowl pick anymore. Then they suffer more injuries. Jordan Love goes down. Micah Parsons goes down. Their season's over. How much of that do you want to put on them being a disappointment when they had all these injuries? That's up to you. For me, I'm not going to grade them that harshly, but they're not an A tier because of the meltdown versus the Bears. We can't ignore that. We cannot ignore that. It just, watching Packers' reactions, it's just, you can see their soul leaving their body and then being like, why did it have to be to the Bears, bro? Why did it have to be to the fucking Bears? But yeah, man, it was a hard watch for Packers fans, but it was a good watch for me. It was fucking funny as hell watching them blow that game. But yeah, it would have been A tier if they beat the Bears for sure. If not, no. Yeah, A tier if they beat the Bears. I can't blame, the front office. They assembled the Super Bowl team. Injuries just said otherwise. All right, the Houston Texans. They're another interesting one, you could say. It's so weird because the defense so overperformed. It was a great season off of a terrible start to the year. The offense bounced back. I want to give Nick Caley a lot of credit. He had a tough situation. I don't know. It was such a weird year. But I'm going to put them in A tier because if you take a step back, given how poorly CJ Stroud was, all playoffs long, it's kind of a miracle they pushed the Super Bowl attendees to basically their brink. They absolutely clamped Drake May for most of the game. He did that one throw to Booty was ridiculous, but it was a really good year for... Actually, no, I'm going to kick him down. I'm going to kick him down to B because it stings so much. It stings, man. 4 picks in the first half. That's all you need to know. 4 picks in the first half in the biggest game of your franchise's history, potentially. Still never been to the AFC Championship game. This was your best chance to do so. I think the Texans would have obliterated Jarrett Stidham. So it's just rough, man. It's just rough that your franchise quarterback picked the worst time to play his worst game of his career, and the offensive line just cratered the worst time. So top of B tier, but man, what a fucking year from Will Anderson. And speaking of weird teams to judge, man, what the hell do you do with the Indianapolis Colts, bro? What, I don't even know, man. I think I want to say you go... It's similar to the Texans, honestly, but like in reverse, because the Texans had a terrible start to the year, good end of the regular season. Colts, a historic start to the season, terrible end to the fuck, dude, I don't know, because it's like, it's hard to not look at the future outlook on this, because trading those first round picks for Sauce Gardner has the potential of being one of the worst trades of the last like 10 years if the Colts just bottom out. Because what if Daniel Jones is not the same? What if he's not able to carry this momentum he had? Because the issue is Daniel Jones started having worse play before he even got the Achilles injury. Now he was playing through another injury too, but still, Jonathan Taylor cooled off. This is not a formula to win the Super Bowl. It's simply not. This is not a good enough defense. The defense was horrendous for most of the season, despite Sauce Gardner being there. He got injured. DeForest Buckner was injured. It's tragic, man. Still, I give them so much credit for the start to the season. I just didn't see it coming at all. I thought the Colts were going to be ass. They were ass for the last month of the year, but such a crazy start to the year. I gotta give them a lot of credit for that. I'm gonna like order these though. I feel like the Texans still had a better season than the Colts. Put the Packers, I don't know actually. I put the Packers ahead of them. I'd probably put the Panthers ahead of them the way they finished. And I guess the Bills, so maybe like that. Yeah, it's all relative again. Like the Browns versus like the Ravens were a kick away from the playoffs, but I think the Browns were more surprising given their expectations. Jaguars, there's nowhere to go but S tier here too. We thought that there was a chance that this team was going to be solid, but just how much impact Liam Cohen had on them was ridiculous, quite fucking frankly. So many players that I was like, wow, this dude's really balling out of his mind this year. Like Travis Etienne was so good. Fucking Parker Washington, man. Jacoby Myers had a huge impact. Let's ignore Brian Thomas. Okay, that I totally wasn't super high on him in every single fantasy draft, but anyways, Trevor Lawrence was just fantastic. Third in MVP voting. He's truly getting his number one potential, or number one overall pick potential unlocked. The defense still really good and young. I honestly think this was the fucking best team in the AFC. I really do. I don't know. It's like, I really am not mad at myself for my Jaguars Texans AFC championship prediction, because Josh Allen played a perfect game versus the Jaguars. They barely won, and then he shat himself versus the Broncos. Fucking CJ Stroud shat himself versus the Patriots. I think if those random occurrences don't happen, then I think we do get that AFC championship game. And I think the Jaguars would have made a Super Bowl versus the Seahawks way more interesting than the Patriots. They had a ridiculous run defense. They clamped James Cook. So, crazy season. I really hope they build off of next year. Or last year. Kansas City. Oh, this is a tough one because you don't want to put... I mean, I'm going to put them in C. They're a weird one because I feel like they're similar to the Ravens, where the team was not as talented as the Lions or the Ravens. But they had Mahomes. Mahomes did not play amazing this year. The help around him was very fucking piss poor. Xavier Worthy was really disappointing. Travis Kelce's just washed. Yeah, the running back situation is pitiful. The defense was not as good this year. There's a lot of issues on this team. A lot. And it was all finally exposed. But this all had to happen eventually. It's just a matter of... I don't know. Because on paper before the season, like I said, without the context of this team, you would be like, yeah, this team performed about as well as they should have, given their talent, but it's the Chiefs, so you got to mark them down a bit. It was a very disappointing year, and the Chiefs are in trouble for the future, and it looks like, hell man, we might be able to lap them eventually in like a year or two. We got more young talent than them, for sure. They do have Patrick Mahomes. That's besides the point. Chargers. This is another weird one, because how much do you punish them for... Oh. Calm down. Damn it, Tom, just fucking listen to me. You know, something tells me that is absolutely not going to stay. He's out of frame. He's on timeout now. Anyways, the Chargers, yeah. How much do you want to punish them for all the injuries? Because the offensive line was the death of this team, for sure. Yeah, like, you assembled a good offensive line. You got Joe Alt. Joe Alt's a great player. He's amazing, but he barely played. Mekhi Becton, good player when healthy, wasn't healthy. fucking Rashawn Slater's career over. So I want to say they still overperformed, and they were the most obvious like fraud in the playoffs. Like this team was going to get mauled by whoever they played, and they played a great defense. So I'm going to go B tier because it's impressive that they did as much as they did. Still, it's just if this team bottomed out the way they did with a healthy offensive line, I'd probably put them in like C or D tier. The Falcons are so low because of the opportunity they blew. The Chargers, they didn't blow the opportunity, they just got it taken away from them. Rams, I'm gonna go S tier as well. This was a very interesting season, because Matthew Stafford was like supposed to retire in the offseason, right? He wasn't even supposed to play, but he played. He was the MVP. Puka Nacua, top 2 wide receiver in the NFL this past season. They had a good 1-2 punch with Kyren and Corum. The offensive line held up for the most part. Hell, they fucking played amazing in the NFC Championship game versus the Seahawks, and they pushed the Super Bowl champions to the brink of elimination. If DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't drop back into coverage randomly, that's a Kyren Williams touchdown. Rams beat the Seahawks probably. So this was the second best, if not still the best team in the NFL this season, because people can say that, like, it sounds weird to say, but the best team in the NFL usually doesn't win the Super Bowl. Like, I think everyone knows the 2007 Patriots were a better team than the Giants, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. I don't think the Rams were better than the Seahawks in hindsight, but I think if those teams play 10 games, the Rams probably win 5 of them, 5 or 4 of them. So it was an amazing game, the NFC Championship, amazing season from the Rams. Just fell 1 play short. Raiders, we're going to D tier. Holy fuck, bro. Oh my goodness. When we got to that Philly game, when Kenny Pickett was playing for us, I realized how little interest I had in this season, and there's something to the likes of which is just a word I can't describe watching this team, where it's just beyond boredom. Like, there's no interest in the game actually taking place. Like, if this were on Madden, you would press the simulate to end of regular season button and just go straight to the draft. By week 2, it was clear this team was just not going anywhere. Coaching malpractice top to bottom with this roster. One of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen in my life. And that's saying something, because we ruined Josh Jacobs in his last season. Last year, the O-line was atrocious. It's a sad situation, man. Now, there is hope for the future, of course. We still have Bowers and Genty, and Max Crosby is here in spirit at this point. But, yeah, unwatchable season. Unwatchable. Just terrible football. Dolphins are also going into D tier. I'll give them top of D tier because they rallied to end the season. I think it's clear that Mike McDaniel is not the only problem with that organization. He's still a great football mind. He had Devon Achane have a great season still. Tua sucks balls, so that's a bit of an issue. But the Dolphins had some fun games. Hell, they ended the Falcons season, basically. They ended up stealing a lot of wins and rallied to be respectable, which for tanking purposes is bad, but yeah, their season ended in week 1. So yeah, you can't get them out of D tier. This was a rough season, but with the Patriots in their division, I mean, what were they really going to do? I don't know, man. I'll put them in D tier, actually. That's not fair. That's not very fair, honestly. But, very flawed roster, terrible defense. It's just so disappointing to his regression. It's really sad. So yeah, that's just where they're going to be. Fuck, the tier list needs to be a little smaller here. Hold on. That'll do something. Okay. Now we go to the Vikings, where I think they kind of performed about average. Obviously, the J.J. McCarthy thing is pretty disappointing as a whole, but he, you could argue got a little bit better by the end of the season. I don't think you give up on him. I was really, shocked to see a lot of Vikings fans. I think it was by the time, the Packers game, to be fair, was like a all-time low. When they played the Packers, Vikings fans were like, I give up. I want to trade him, cut him now. And I don't think that's fair. He's 22 years old, super young still. He has a lot of flaws as a prospect. I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar. I don't think he's going to be a franchise quarterback, but you have to try, man. You use so much capital on him. You got to try. And the Vikings defense was still great. They played up to par. It was just the offense was disappointing, but still they rallied to end the season again. That deserves a lot of credit. So not super disappointing, and they didn't end the season on a disastrous note. There's a lot of hope for the future with J.J. McCarthy playing better football. So yeah, Patriots, there's nowhere to go but S tier as well. I actually don't have these ranked. I guess you could put the Patriots ahead of... I'm not going to put them ahead of the Bears. Probably something like this. Maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, the Patriots, man. I mean, what more needs to be said? Super Bowl run out of nowhere. Drake May, all second in MVP voting, almost won the MVP. Vrabel Coach of the Year. Insane defense. So many pieces to work with. Gonzo, Milton Williams, Barmore, Robert Spillane was fantastic this year. There's still offensive problems. Travion Henderson needs to get better at pass blocking. They don't have much talent outside of Drake May. Diggs is going to fucking jail. So the optimism for the future isn't exactly as bright as like the Bears to me, but Drake May is your franchise quarterback, so there's a lot there. And yes, you lost the Super Bowl, but you just played against a team that was way better than you. Not much you could do. The Saints, I'm going to put them in B tier, man. This is a weird one because a lot of people didn't pay attention to the Saints. They were probably one of the most overlooked teams of the season. But I'm telling you, man, just quietly, Kellen Moore had one of the best years I've seen from a first-year head coach in a bit. You know, obviously Ben Johnson exists, but he really, really was coaching his ass off. Spencer Rattler was playing solid football. Tyler Shuck playing very good football. So you found your quarterback for next year at least. You found your coach for a while, and the defense was like okay. This was not a horrendous football team the last month or two of the season. So I thought they were easily going to be the worst team in football. They blew my expectations out of the water. The Tyler Shuck pick looked awful on draft day, but he proved me wrong, man. So I gotta give him credit. Now, the Giants are gonna go D tier, bro. I mean, they did everything wrong. Everything. I can't name one thing they did right. Before the year, I thought this team would have been pretty fucking good. Their defense on paper is crazy. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Sexy Dexy. Javon Holland is there now. Bobby Okereke, he fell off a fucking cliff this year, but names were everywhere. You'd think Deontay Banks could take a leap. He's cooked too, but defense, great on paper. Terrible in practice. The offense was fine. Camp Scatterbo and Jackson Dart had their little thing going. Jackson Dart was playing good football. Then you fire Brian Daboll, and the offense falls off a cliff. Jackson Dart just turns into an utter garbage can. So you ruin Jackson Dart's progress. You ruin the season. Can you at least get the number one pick? Can you at least get a good spot? No, you rally to end the year, lose the Tank Bowl to us, and it was just a pathetic season. I think they had a worse year than us. I really do. So many blown leads, just wasted potential. At least they played more exciting games than us, I'll say that, but horrendous year for the Giants. Then, oh god, the Jets. The Jets are another one where it's like, I'll put them in C tier because, like, what did you expect? Like, the Jets were going to be a bottom 5 team no matter what, but just the fact that they had Aaron Glenn, who is supposed to be this defensive mastermind, and they don't get a pick all season, one of the worst defenses of all time, it's just kind of funny to me. But I like how the Jets traded everything away. They blew it up. They traded Quinn. They traded Sauce. I love that. They got first-round picks. That's good. It's the only positive thing I can say, though. And Philly, I'm going D tier. This is a hot take, but I'm literally going D tier. This is the most disappointing team of the season. Most talented team in the NFL on paper. They fucking... I don't understand how they did it, man. I've never seen such a horrid offense with so much talent. They had all pros and Pro Bowlers at every position, and they blew it. Jalen Hurts' regression was insane. The offensive line was injured and bad all year long. Barkley regressed. A.J. Brown looked awful and bored most of the time. The defense held their fucking weight for most of the season. They had their moments of giving up points, but it's like people would blame the defense when they would lose a game like fucking 14-20. And it's like they're like, "Oh, the defense gave up a game-winning drive." It's like, bro, the defense also forced 11 punts, but Kevin Patullo's sitting there with his finger trying to give himself his own prostate exam just to feel something anymore. It's a rough watching Philly highlights in 2025. I don't know what to think about this team anymore. I have trust issues with the fucking Eagles. The Steelers are another team like the Vikings where it's like, bro, what did you expect, man? I mean, they made the playoffs, they beat the Ravens, that's cool. And then they got annihilated by the Texans. There was literally nothing to say about the Steelers. They are the same team. They went 9-8. They will go 9-8 again this next season. They have no fucking identity other than being mid. And then Seattle, obviously there's nowhere to go other than D tier. This was A tier. S tier. There we go. Are we going to have a single A tier? Honestly, I don't. Yeah, actually, I think so. Yeah, this was the team that won the Super Bowl. That's going to get you to S tier, man. Sam Darnold's renaissance was crazy. Jackson Smith and Jigba broke out. Kubiak, great system. Amazing play-action offense, balancing the run and the pass. Insane defense, the dark side. Nicky Manwari, Devin Witherspoon, Leonard Williams, still great. DeMarcus Lawrence. Crazy season from Seattle. Crazy. This is a team that is going to be very, very good for super long because their defense is so young. Mike McDonald's going to be there forever. This team's going to be amazing for the next 5 years. So that's just, I'm so jealous, bro. The Niners are going to be my first A-tier team because of the missed potential of what could have been. Again, they're similar to the Chargers in a lot of ways where injuries held them back, because if they lost to the Seahawks the way they did and they were 100% healthy, this would be a very disappointing season. But like the Chargers, they were unhealthy. But unlike the Chargers, they won. They won the playoffs game versus the Eagles in a game they shouldn't have won. So I got to give them a lot of credit for that. This was a phenomenal coaching job by Shanahan and Saleh all year long. Purdy played well. Mac Jones played well. McCaffrey was a fucking superhero. And they beat the Eagles with Eric Kendricks. Eric Kendricks was calling the plays. The third string linebacker who was signed off the practice squad a week before. And they beat the fucking Philadelphia Eagles, the best roster in the NFL, on the road. Absurd. So, yeah, they got squashed by the Seahawks. But they just weren't as good of a team. It happens. This was a very, very good season for them. And yeah, they beat the Seahawks earlier that year. They could have beat them in that game. Hell, if they pick up that fourth down, who knows? But yeah, this was a great year for them. And that's going to be the first A tier, honestly. Now we have Tampa. Again, I'm going to put them in the C tier. They're, again, similar to the Chargers, where it's like, they're similar to the Chargers, but also different, again, just like the Niners too, in a way where their season was derailed because of the injuries. It just wasn't sustainable. Bucky goes down, Evans goes down, Abuka goes down, Godwin down, Wirfs down. The whole fucking team was injured at one point. The defense, it was a flurry of injuries, but still, you got to pull yourself together. The team got healthy, and they could not win down the stretch. That loss to the Falcons on Thursday night was brutal. Brutal for my fantasy team, too, going against Kyle Pitts. But that was awful. And to have a chance at winning the title chance at winning the division title just by existing and doing fine stuff, I mean, and you blow it because you can't beat the fucking Falcons? I don't know, man. It was a wasted year, but at the same time, like, they weren't going to win the Super Bowl, so it's not that big of a deal. I could put them bottom of B tier, but whatever. The Titans, I'm going to put them in bottom of C tier. Horrendous coaching job this season, but still, you found your franchise quarterbacks. That's pretty good. It was a horrid season, but you got your guy. So there's that. And then for the Commanders, again, injuries. What do you want to say about it? Dan Quinn was awful this season. I think I'd put him in bottom of C tier because they played with some heart to end the season. They battled the Broncos. They hung around with the Eagles. They won that game. So, and that game, like, changed the whole playoffs, changed all the seeding. The Niners would have gotten to play against the Panthers if the Commanders with Josh Johnson didn't win that game. But yeah, bad season, but injuries to the whole team. So what are you going to do? But that's the tier list, man. Every single team's 2025 season. Yeah, that's what I got. So thanks for watching. Hope you like it. But yeah, see ya.